This episode of Street Warrior Radio is brought to you by two sponsors, TNT Security and Amazon Click-Through. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can go to our website at streetwarriorradio.com and click the Amazon link before you do your shopping. Amazon Click-Through is an easy way to support the podcast and one of the most effective. It's the simple things that you do that can help us bring a quality product to your listening ears. So do all your shopping on Amazon through our website first. We thank you in advance.
Supporting nonprofit organizations is a great way to help yourself, help others, and help the community. Nonprofit organizations such as Humanizing the Badge, which aims to bridge the gap between police and community, focusing on national-level community services projects such as their Project Human, and providing support to first responders and their families under their 227 project. You can find them at humanizingthebadge.com. Please go there and donate to a great cause. Also, 22 Kill. They're on a mission to raise awareness to the vet suicide epidemic, educate the public about PTSD and other mental health issues. Their programs include traditional and non-traditional forms of therapy for both mental and physical health, with the main focus on suicide prevention. You ever heard of the 22 push-ups a day challenge? That's where that came from. Visit 22kill.com, and if you're so inclined, please donate. You can also find links to both of those organizations, plus some others, on our website. It's going to be on the left-hand column of each page on the website, streetwarriorradio.com. This is Street Warrior Radio, episode 005, with your hosts, the Big Bo, and me, JC.
Bow wow. That's the wrong kind of intro music.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
I felt like the conversation we were having prior to recording, that was like a natural course that we would have taken.
No? No, we weren't going down that road at all.
Oh, it felt like we were.
Nope.
It felt like we were going to end up in a shack somewhere with banjo music playing. And coveralls and things.
And someone telling you got a pretty mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. No, I could definitely see that one happening.
Yeah. So, what's going on, Big Bo?
Nothing much, man. I'm a little under the weather today, if you guys can hear that in my voice. A little sniffly.
Yeah, you sound terrible.
I do sound terrible.
You don't sound terrible.
I need some sleep.
Yeah.
You're
going 5,000 miles per hour.
I'm going on zero fumes right now.
I honestly don't know how you even...
I function.
I function. That's all you do is just function.
That's it.
You're not even living anymore.
No, I'm just a functioning human being right now.
Yeah.
At this point in time in my life, I'm just functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna get better though. Once we get Once we get this thing rolling, at some point it's just gonna get better because this will be all I'm doing.
So, yeah. So speaking of that,
yeah,
I was kind of, researching ways like to build the audience, kind of find your niche audience or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I feel like our demographic is like 25 to 70.
Yeah, 70-year-olds are not listening to us.
No, they are. Hands down.
Yeah. Our one guy in Canada that listens to us consistently.
Yeah. Is there a guy in Canada?
There's a guy in Canada that listens to us consistently.
Shout out to my Canada brother. Views from the 6. What's up? Shout out Drake.
All 4 episodes.
That's Drake.
100% listen to.
That's Drake.
There's not a second.
Our listener in Canada, if you could, go to streetwarriorradio.com. Let us know a little bit about yourself.
So we appreciate that guy.
It's going to be Drake.
He's the only guy in North America that's actually listening to every minute of every episode. So we appreciate him.
Yo, I really respect that dude.
Oh, 100%.
Love
that guy.
That's a loyal listener. He's going to be on the show one day.
I feel like if we went to Canada, we'd have a place to stay.
He's a Mountie.
Ooh. Possibly that red jacket and all that.
Yep.
Kind of sexy.
Yep. I was talking about the wrestler.
Oh.
There's a wrestler. No, you're right, though.
I don't know.
No, you're probably right.
I don't know.
You're probably right.
So, interesting thing. right?
Yeah.
There's a debate in the world right now.
Yeah.
All right. And it has to do with education.
Huge education. I just left school right now. I actually left school.
You are actually a active student.
Active college student.
In a large university.
Large. Rather large.
Pretty large.
It's a pretty good sized university. I'm not gonna front. Pretty big
with
size.
with some certain schools that are pretty well renowned. Like
It's one of the. I think it's top 5 in the state of Texas.
Yeah, it's got like a fantastic like health and sciences and
and very much
laboratory research. Crime. I think they have like a unbelievable crime lab or something.
They
like that.
They do. Yep, they're huge on the criminal justice side.
Which I guess you could say where you go to school. That's not.
Yeah, I go to UNT.
Yeah, University of North Texas.
University of North Texas. I mean, that's not giving too much away.
Mean Green.
Mean Green. Support Mean Green. I was thinking about going to SMU when I first got here.
Ooh.
But I was just like, it's too big. That school is humongous. It was a little intimidating.
And that's a hard school to get into.
It is
right?
too. But I think with military, you can get into like almost any school.
Oh, that's probably true.
Yeah, with your VA.
I went to community college, so.
That's where I started at. I started at community college. I started at Central Texas College in Killeen. And then I got my 60 credits that I needed to transfer to a 4-year college.
I left college to join.
No, I can tell.
To start this career.
Yeah. Podcasting?
No. No. Although the skill levels are, we're right there.
Right there.
No, the law enforcement career. So,
well, how do you feel about do you think that it's necessary to have a college degree to be in law enforcement today?
Well, that is a multi-layered debate, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, actually, no, it's not. It's a 2-layer debate.
No, it's multi-layered.
So,
because you have so many people that think so many different ways. You can't just put that, give it two dimensions.
Here's how I look at it. So, in today's age of law enforcement, right? Because law enforcement is considered a profession.
Yes,
part of the law profession.
It's still one of the last professions left that you can still do and retire and make a pretty decent living at it.
But what's interesting about it being defined as a profession, right, is that to me, I look at it like it is the most blue collar of all the professions. It is a blue collar profession because of the type of job it is, the physicality of it, the fact that on a very basic level, it doesn't take like a ton of skill. It takes skill, but it doesn't take like you don't need a rocket scientist to be a cop.
It takes more reasoning.
It does take a large amount of reasoning
and common sense,
which I think a lot of that comes with life experience. And we'll get into that because it kind of has to do with my view on education versus non-education when it comes to law enforcement. So law enforcement, in my opinion, you don't need a degree to do law enforcement.
100% agree with you.
You do not need a degree.
No,
as a matter of fact,
I don't think that you need one.
The better cop you are is built over time based on experience.
Yes.
Right. But in today's age and the emphasis on having an education, right? Well, there's always been an emphasis on having education, but it is an important thing. And I think it's something that people should do. It's something that I would like to finish, right? Yeah. It's something I would like to do.
I'm almost done. I'm at the finish line.
And it's something... And not just to say I did it, right? But I mean, it does open doors for you. There is a certain thing about it. But in today's day and age, there are a lot of departments out there that require 4-year college degrees to be a police officer.
Yes,
right?
There's a couple here in Texas,
which to me that's crazy. But times change and things evolve. I think today, if you want to be in administration. Right? If that is your ultimate goal, if you want to be in administration,
which that is my ultimate goal,
then yes, it's almost required.
What's funny is whenever I tell people, they'll be like, they know you're a cop, or like if people will be like at the college, they'll be like, oh, what's your job? And I'm like, oh, I'm a cop. And they're like, oh, what are you getting your degree in? Criminal justice. Oh, what are you gonna do with that? Like, be a detective? And I'm like, no. And at first, like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's kind of a silly question. And then like I kept hearing it. So like people really think to become a detective, you have to have a criminal justice degree. Because I think they think FBI, CIA, they think stuff like that for detectives, which is we're detectives at a municipality or so.
Well, I mean, you learn how to be analytical.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
I'll say with a criminal justice major, it's probably with any other major, but for mine, just implementing what I've learned in the field, it teaches you more of to think like the criminal, because most degrees have a psychology or sociology tone to them. So they teach you to kind of what if you were in the other person's shoes? So you
Right.
kind of get that humanization. And I think why it's important to have a degree, I don't believe you need one to be a police officer, but why I think it's important is that most of the communities we serve in, more citizens are becoming educated. So it plays into what you said. If you want to go into administration, you're going to be more you're going to be more involved with the day to day with the citizens of that
Right.
police department. And they want to know that the person they're speaking to is just as educated as them.
Yeah, and I think now, if you're in your career as a cop at this point, like kind of supervise that sergeant level
Yes.
is kind of your ceiling without a degree.
I think so too.
Unless you have some just ridiculous, some like really concrete long-term experience where you can be, but you won't be a chief. Most likely.
Most likely, I think.
Now that's not true in every agency, right? There's a lot of small agencies but you're smaller to mid-size and up are
That's like
definitely moving more towards
the basic requirement is a 4-year degree for most places if you're going to be chief of police somewhere.
right. At least a bachelor's degree.
At least a bachelor's
and some
degree.
of them require master's
Some
degrees.
of them do. Yep.
Master's degree, master peace officer license if you're in Texas.
Yep.
I know every state has its different levels. I don't know what every state's is, but in Texas, the top is master peace officer, which I'm almost there. But even with that, I would be kind of limited.
You would be.
Unless I went
How many college credits you got?
40?
Oh, that's not bad.
40. I did basically 3 full semesters.
So 36, 40. Yeah, you're right about
So
that.
it was
If you count, it was 36 plus your.
It was 15. It was 15 a semester. 15 hours a semester is what I did.
15. Oh, wow. So you're actually at 60 if you count the 15 that
40,
they give
45.
you. Well, then they give you 15 for your police academy now.
Oh, I don't know if they did back then, though.
No, not back then, but now they do.
Yeah.
They give it to you. It's their elective credits, but they're still
Well,
credits.
if I were to go back.
Yeah,
Oh,
they'll
you
be
get the
elective
15.
credits.
Oh,
Yep,
okay,
you get
okay,
the 15.
okay. Yeah, gotcha.
So you'll be almost to a bachelor's. I mean, associates.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the student debt and stuff. But,
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
which is another thing. to consider, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at today, student debt. I mean, we're talking. I think the last number was like $1.3 trillion in student debt in the United States.
The average person that graduates, I could be wrong, but last time I read it was like $181,000 in college,
Which is crazy.
in debt.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. I'm taking 9 classes, and I get just a little caveat. My school is paid for by the military, so I don't have to pay for my education. So I
Right.
take advantage of it.
Sure, and you should.
And you should. The 3 classes I'm taking were $4,000
Yeah.
total. So you think someone does more than that?
Right.
They do, like you said, 15. They're going to be paying almost 10 grand a semester.
Yeah.
And I'm taking just a spring semester,
Sure.
You're looking at 40 grand a year.
Right.
So
Easily.
yeah.
And that's at a UNT type school. If you want to
Harvard.
if you're talking
Crazy amounts. And then
100
see what
plus.
most people, and where they rack up the money is not only did they get their bachelor's, but they wanted their master's.
Sure.
So you're looking at close to almost 200 grand.
And I get the reasoning behind that. I mean, some people are happy with, they get their 4-year degree, they're good with that, but
That's me.
But I see I can see easily, and I probably have that mindset too. Like I would want to go.
It depends on what your degree is in. For us, I don't see it because the only thing you're going to get is a master in criminology. So you're just going to be a master at criminal justice, which
Right.
to me, it makes no sense. If you're, God, I don't even
Well, it's kind of a hokey degree anyway, but. And I don't mean that. I don't mean to insult you, but
No, I know
it's
you don't.
very limited.
Yeah, it's limited to what you can do.
in its applications to the real world.
It's the same with being a psychologist.
Right.
Very limited. History major. Very limited. Unless you get a general degree, you're limited to what you can do. Degrees are very limiting.
So I think so if you had an aspiring person that was going into law that wanted to be a cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether that be federal or state or local, it doesn't matter. If they were looking at going to college first, right?
Yes.
Even though you're in a criminal justice program, right? That's what your bachelor's degree is going to be in.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that core? Would you recommend that degree plan, or would you recommend something else? And why?
I would still recommend criminal justice because it's a very broad spectrum, because it does teach you so many things. You have to take psychology, you have to take sociology, you have to take math, you have to take economics. You still have to take these general core classes to get that degree, and it helps you to kind of be in your urban areas where we're mostly used at. It helps you be part of that environment, so you can see like, okay, these people are economically behind on everything else in the city or everything else in the state. This is why they're committing crimes. Here are the data for that crime. It's, you learn the UCR, you learn how to calculate these numbers. It's very just teaching you strategies almost. So that helps out abundantly. It also helps you with reports. You learn how to technical write, you learn how to write English 101, English 102. So yes, I mean, I would tell you, if you're going to go in to be a police officer, federal, state, local, get a criminal justice degree. Or you could also get a psychology degree. They almost go hand in hand, because then you're learning why people commit crimes and, how they're doing it. And, you start thinking like a criminal. So yeah, I would tell someone who's going into college that a criminal justice degree would be good for them.
Okay. Well, what about, so let's say you have somebody that's in a business program, right? Are there any applications from that based on what you know about it? You may not know anything about it. That's fine. But based on that application, would that be translatable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because then you can, like we said, if you're going to get your degree, you're going for an admin type position, So running a police department and running a business are almost the same, because you've got to calculate your employees' pay, their benefits, how you're going to give them raises, what equipment you're going to buy them, how you're going to buy the equipment, the spending budget for the year, how you're going to manage all that money. It would translate definitely. And then plus the experience that you gain from being a police officer ties into your degree. So I think you'd be well-rounded, because you got tons of street experience, because you're going to do 10 to 15 years before you become a police chief.
Right.
Plus you have that business background.
If not longer.
Yeah, if not longer.
It just depends on the individual.
Size of the size of the agency.
Sure.
And so, you got people that have been cops for 25, 30 years, and they're just getting their first crack at being chief.
Yeah.
Or you got guys even a constable, someone who's running for office. Sure. Definitely. I mean, they could get a political science degree, and then you're running a campaign to run for sheriff or constable. That definitely help you out, because it teaches you how to get out there and meet the people and how voting trends are. That's what a political science degree teaches you.
Now, when you started, I'm kind of turning this into like almost an interview format,
right.
but you're there right now, right? My college experience was on a community college level, which is valuable, which is extremely valuable.
Any college is valuable,
but it was also 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how much, if the dynamic or the dichotomy of education's changed in that level or not.
I think probably your electives and what their teachings change. I think your core stays the same. Your math, your English, your technical writing, your science.
Right, okay.
Those are going to stay the same.
Sure.
But I think everything else probably changes. It's just like everything else. It changes with the time. So it has to be updated material and new information comes out.
Okay, so if you... and I kind of lost my train of thought. I kind of got backwards on that. But all right. So if you're looking at it, you're looking to go into just a 4-year degree, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. I just want that, and I didn't even want it.
Well, would there be a benefit short term? Obviously, we know there's a long term benefit, but would there be a short term benefit to somebody pulling the trigger and going and getting that undergraduate degree and then jumping to a graduate degree? And then still pursuing it. And if they were pursuing a career in law enforcement after that, would it be more beneficial for them to push over to a federal level law enforcement?
I think for sure, yeah. Because you've spent so much time in school and learning that stuff that you wouldn't apply that to a municipality per se. You'd almost be overqualified for a police officer job, because once you get into a master's degree, it's more analytics.
Sure.
It's more writing papers. More critical thinking. There's a guy in my police academy. He had his master's in criminology, and he was like, "No, this isn't what I want to do. I want to catch bad guys. Like,
I don't want to answer noise complaints. I want to go find serial killers."
Yeah, and so he dropped out of the academy, and I totally got it. I was like, dude,
oh, that makes sense.
You're going to be making $30,000 starting out. You won't even dent that student debt the first year. Not at all.
Even if you go to federal.
Yeah. And so I think that's what he was doing. I think he was applying for the CIA, actually, after he left, last I heard.
Well, not a bad spot to be. So,
no.
Okay, so...
A lot of flat earthers over there in the CIA.
We're not doing this. So, what do you have a minor?
My minor will be in rehab. So I'll get a certification in rehabilitation and drug use.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's beneficial.
It is beneficial. That's why I chose it. Yeah. Because we do a lot with junkies.
So what's the difference between a major and a minor for people that don't know?
A major is what you spend the majority of your time doing, and a minor is mostly just a few electives.
Okay. So is a minor more like a occupational certificate versus a...
You can get one. I fell in on it because I was like, well, what can I do? And so she kind of was like, oh, these classes match up with that. And it was like rehab. And I think it was even like being like a school teacher type deal where you kind of get a certificate for that too. And I was like, well, I'll just do rehab because those classes would fall in. But you don't even have to get a minor.
Yeah.
You can just do straight 4 years.
Gotcha.
So you don't even have to,
you don't have, because you don't have to, not like,
you don't have to get a minor. Yeah, you can just spend all your electives on criminal justice stuff if that's your degree.
Gotcha.
So psychology stuff if that's your degree.
All right.
You don't have to get a minor.
So and really I kind of look at what we're talking about at the moment is really kind of geared towards people that they haven't started that law enforcement career, right? So let's switch gears for a second. So let's put somebody in your situation that you're currently in. You had already started your law enforcement career. You were already into your law enforcement career a little bit, and then now we're going and we're finishing the degree, right? So,
excuse me.
What are some of the? So, do you take a full-time schedule? Or
I take 9. I try to 9 credits is what I take. So technically 3 classes.
Okay.
I've done 4 before, but it's just
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a beating on you.
It's a lot for any normal person. Say when I was in community college, right? I took 3 semesters.
Yeah.
Right, and that included winter break and summer break classes. All right, weren't as heavy on the load. Obviously, I think the winter break at the community college we had. I don't know if every college does this, but the community college I was at had a winter break schedule, which was like, I think you could take a maximum of like 2 classes.
Yeah, they have that. That's their
and then summer break
mini sessions.
Yeah, summer break was like 3. I think was the max. I can't remember.
I did summer. It's 3 sessions, and you can do 1 class, 2 class, 2 class.
Right.
So it was 3 sessions during the summer.
So. And in doing that, I was also working a full-time job. Mm-hmm. Right. So.
And I think that's more of the norm now too.
Yeah, and that's why I want to segue into this. Is that okay? So you started your law enforcement career. You decided to go back to school. You had a great benefit because of the service of your country, and decided to take advantage of that, which I think is good because I don't know how many. I don't have a number or anything. But I wonder how many people in your position that qualified for the GI Bill and all that, I wonder how many of them actually have taken advantage of it.
My uncle did. My uncle was he served in the Army. He did 3 years, and he never went to 1 class. And he was just like, oh, it expired. And I was like, when I got in, I was like, no, you can petition. He was like, nah, I'm too old. And so, I mean, there's people like that served in the 80s and early 90s that were just like, nah, college schmollege. Because back then, you got out of the military and that was your college.
Well, and also,
that counted as some sort of 4-year degree.
Right, but unless you were on the yuppie track, right, most jobs were trade oriented.
Exactly.
So you got a skill.
Exactly.
You went to a trade school or you developed a skill through a journeyman process.
Yep. And see,
which you don't see that.
Yeah, I think he drove forklifts in the military. So like,
it immediately translated.
Immediately translated. Yeah.
So okay, so for you, working a full-time police career, right?
Yes.
We're talking 12-hour shifts prior to your current assignment, right? But still, there's a lot of extracurricular commitments in your current assignment as a school resource officer. Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges that you face that other people might face in going to school?
that they face that I might face?
Well, no, that you faced as a full-time law enforcement officer,
full-time student,
and this could translate to really anyone, right? Outside law enforcement, doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you faced and still face as a full-time law enforcement officer and basically a full-time student? Like
staying on task. Yeah, you got to stay up with those classes. Like, so the class I just left today, this lady is like, you got to be there at 6 and you have to sit there the whole class. If you leave before 10 minutes is left, you don't get credit for the day.
Tough.
So, and like that counts as 100 points of your final grade. So, I mean, that's an easy 100 points.
Right.
That'll help towards your final grade. So, like, if you miss out on it, that's a quiz you missed out on or something. So, I mean, you got to constantly be there. I think what most people, who are, like I said, it's more the norm. So you have, full-time moms who are single. They're working 40-hour work week. They're doing 12 hours of college, and then they're also raising their kids.
Right.
So, I mean, they've got it tougher than I do.
You got to wonder when people sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw something the other day. If you're not trying to be the best you from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., you're not trying to be the best you. You're not working on yourself.
I agree.
And that's the truth. I mean, you can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
My uncle used to tell me that. He was like, you don't need sleep. You're
or
fine.
when you retire.
Yeah, or when you retire. I mean, it's all for something. I mean, I'm not going to be going to school for the next 20 years. Right. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be my last year in school. So fall of 2018, I'll be graduating in December. And it's like, that's off my plate.
Right.
And, I think that's what a lot of people look at, because they're like, I'm working 40-hour work weeks. I'm barely making it. I'm going to school and I'm raising this family. Once they stop going to school, then they can get a better job, and then they'll have more time with their family because they'll have a little bit more money in their pockets. And I think that's the American dream for everybody.
Sure.
Is to be upper middle class, or at least middle class, a class that's thinning out right now,
I think it's an ideal of success for a lot of people.
It's a symbol of success, like owning a Cadillac.
Right.
You know what I mean? Someone has a Cadillac, that's a symbol of success.
Right.
And I think hanging a plaque on a wall is the new symbol of success,
Sure.
And everyone, makes fun of it, or there's not much you can do with a degree. There's not much. There's not, but so many more companies are going that way, just like policing. Administrations are going heavily towards that. And they pay you extra now. You have a bachelor's degree, we'll give you extra $75 a month on your paycheck.
Right.
Because they want better educated people, because the more education you have, technically, research shows, the less likely you are to make little mistakes.
Sure.
You're going to critically think things through more. You're not just going to go off of emotion, And not to say people that just have a high school diploma or GED are stupid. Those are some of the smartest people I've ever met, people that have GEDs.
Yeah, and you've met people with degrees before
that are stupid,
that would literally walk out in a certain area and would it's a death sentence for that person.
Yeah, you're just like, you got a degree, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to go to college, because I was like, if that person has a 4-year degree and they are dumber than a box of rocks, there's no way I shouldn't have a degree.
Yeah,
and it's just something to show your kids too, like, hey, this is the standard. You're supposed to go above the standard.
Sure.
So I mean, it's just something to have.
See, I kind of look at your situation like you kind of like ahead of the curve, and I only say that I mean, and this is, you're ahead of the curve in the sense that for people that are just starting out.
Oh yeah.
Right. Versus people that have had some life experience behind them, have had some sort of career behind them in some way, shape, or form, and then you're adding this extra layer on top of it, this educational layer on top of it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's so important, right?
Yeah, it's just adding to the tool belt.
Yeah, you're adding to the tool belt, and you're adding to your general life experience. You're taking a lot of those quote unquote street smarts, right? And then you're adding critical thinking to it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're also adding task orientation skills.
Yeah.
Right. Goal setting skills, being able to create some, creative skills, etc. And I think that by the way you did it, I almost think it's the smarter way to do it. Now, do I kind of think that, and you probably agree with me on this, you probably wish you'd kind of done some of that stuff sooner, right?
Oh yeah. Like sometimes I wish I would have gotten my degree first, then went into the military, and then chosen this path.
So, okay, so let's say you have somebody that graduates high school, right? Knows they want to be in law enforcement, but just isn't quite sure, like, how they want to go about the college thing, right? I kind of look at it like, okay, why don't you go get a taste of it? Be a corrections officer at 18.
Yep.
Why don't you go work in corrections for a year, right? Make a little money, get a little experience, and then kind of gear that experience towards how you want to formulate your 4 years of school.
Yeah.
Right. and use that while you're in school. Continue to work as a corrections officer. Continue to, gain that experience, learning how to talk to people, learning how to talk to the people that you're going to be dealing with on the street before they get institutionalized, right?
Yeah.
Temporarily or long term.
Yep.
And I think it helps, or any job really. I think people have a bigger advantage if they take almost like a sabbatical, like in between high school. Because a lot of people go from high school to. I actually have a friend who I haven't talked to in a long time, but back in my day, he
excuse me,
super sheltered kid, right? Highly functioning, intelligent kid. Like, I mean, we're talking. This dude was ridiculous,
Einstein,
right? We're talking in high school, like he was into things like alchemy.
Oh yeah, a lot of flat earthers
I
that.
as a 30, almost 37-year-old adult male, I still probably couldn't explain to you what alchemy actually is, right?
I know it's the it's making other metals,
right?
Yeah,
high school,
yeah.
All right, he's jamming to Pink Floyd. Right,
super in alchemy,
and in alchemy and Japanese animation, right?
Oh, that's why he was in it. That's why
sky's
he was in
the limit,
alchemy. Yeah,
for this kid, right?
He's going places.
Super smart. So he enrolls in a. I don't know if it was by choice or if it was by kind of parental influence, but he enrolls in a Christian university, right? Kind of a Christian, under the banner of a Christian university,
like a
unquote.
TCU,
right? Out of San Antonio, and he goes straight from high school to and kind of a normal kid, I mean, normal upbringing, whatever, a little strict and sheltered, but
yeah,
he goes straight into the situation and he implodes.
Oh man,
his first year of college was a disaster.
Smoking weed,
failed out. No, he didn't smoke weed.
Oh,
but he started going to parties, he started meeting new people. He
dropping
started
acid,
possibly. I don't know, but he literally and we're talking this dude is super. He bombed, right? In retrospect, he should have. In retrospect, he kind of wishes he had taken some time to kind of introduce himself to the world, right?
Yeah, I did
and get
that.
some experience. Then he ends up going on to another university, right?
Yeah.
And getting 2 bachelor's degrees and probably a master's degree by now or more.
Yeah,
working for tech companies in Austin. So I mean, he obviously it worked out.
Yeah,
but he kind of had that.
You got to fail sometimes.
Well, you have to fail to succeed, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have more failures than successes,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
That's an integral part of the learning process of life. It's a measuring stick for your own life, right? If you have more successes than you have failures, you're doing something wrong.
You know what? I think you're onto something too. I kind of agree with you. It's just like if you want to be a chef or you want to own a restaurant, I think you should definitely go work in one before you go to culinary arts school.
Right.
Just to make sure it's really what you want to do.
And I think same thing with law enforcement.
It's one thing to love to cook in your kitchen and bake in your kitchen and, oh, this is fun. I want to go to culinary arts school. Well, why don't you go get a job in a restaurant working in the back first?
Right.
Because that's where you're going to start. It's where everybody starts. You're not going to just graduate cordon bleu and be working in France.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere. I mean, even I did it. I mean, I did it more as just party, but I graduated high school and then me and my best friend were like, we're going to take a year off. Mm-hmm. And we took a year off and we just partied. That's literally all we did. We worked Monday through Thursday. Friday, we worked half a day for the company we worked for. And then Friday night to Sunday morning, we partied. That's all we did. Our paychecks went to partying, and that was it.
Don't know if that's the best route.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is, but then honestly, a year to the date from we graduated, we both went and enrolled in the military, and I was just like, I got that out of my system.
Right.
I did that already. Now I'm ready to go and start a life as an adult. You know, and it's not like I had to stop partying. I got to the military and it was still a party.
But did you feel like that was good for you?
I felt like it was good for me. I honestly did.
I mean, obviously at the time it felt awesome, but
I'd go back in a time machine right now. Right. To that
the time machine you're gonna buy.
Yeah.
But I think that's right. I think that's before you embarked into a career.
Yeah.
Right. And you can look at college the same way. You took some time, right?
Oh, yeah.
To kind of get some things out of your system.
And I failed my first semester. I took college classes. So I graduated the police academy, and I took 2 classes. I failed one and passed the other one.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know, and someone was like, why didn't you drop that class? I was like, what do you mean drop it? They're like, you don't have to take it if you don't think you're going to do well. I was like, well, I wish I'd have known that before I got this F on my transcript.
Right. That'd been nice.
That'd have been nice to know. Yeah, but you learn, man. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
So
I just think that, this is the other thing. If you're in a position right now where you're thinking about getting into law enforcement, obviously, as we've stated, a college degree is going to be beneficial to you in the long term.
It really will.
But
it's not going to help you immediately.
But again, taking that time off, right?
Yeah.
Go get a job as a corrections officer at 18.
Yeah.
Spend some time in it dealing with some of these violent people, some of these people that were on drugs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it's going to give you a taste then of, hey, you know what? Do I really want to do this? And I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of people that, well, I wouldn't say a lot. There's a percentage of people that shouldn't be cops that are,
yes,
for a variety of reasons.
Yeah,
right. But I think, and you can apply this, I think, to any field. You can look at, I want to be a financial advisor, or
go work in a bank,
or go work in whatever. It doesn't matter. Take that time, work those odd jobs, work those ground floor type jobs, right? Get in there, see what it's about. Go find that low paying job, make a little bit of money, get that responsibility, learn a couple things, and then kind of decide, where you're going to go from there.
I think life experience can sometimes trump education.
I'm of the believer, and I'm not just saying this because I lack a completed college education, right? But I do think that there are values to a higher education, right? There's things that gives you that you can't get on the street.
Yeah.
Right? But I think that the lessons you learn in your daily life, and I think that the experiences that you have when you're out there in the world, I think that those give you an incredible amount of value that a college degree can't give you, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, there are things, I think there's less things than the flip side of that, but I think there are things that the college degree can give you that being out there in the world cannot give you. And I think a lot of that has to do with organizational skills, critical thinking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you can still be a critical thinker having never been to college, but I think that those skills are probably fine-tuned.
Oh, yeah.
And are better for you probably in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's our take on the schools.
But I mean, okay, so all that being said, right? Do you think that in modern day law enforcement or business, right?
Yes.
That administrations, leadership, places too high of an emphasis on somebody that has a degree versus somebody that doesn't? And I'll give you an example as a hypothetical, right? You have, and I'll just use our world as an example, right? So you have a lieutenant spot open, okay? And the chief has a lieutenant spot open, right? Guy retired, moved on. We have a vacancy, so we need to promote somebody, right? And if there's no succession of leadership program in place, where for those of you that don't understand what that is, succession of leadership is when like you have your line of people through the ranks, and then let's say a lieutenant position comes open, then you take a sergeant, your most qualified sergeant below that lieutenant, promote him up to that position, then you take your most experienced or well-qualified officer below that sergeant, promote them up to sergeant, and so on. And the cycle continues, right? But let's say you don't have this situation, right? A lot of places don't. So you have a lieutenant position open up, you have a sergeant with 22 years experience. Great cop. All around dude, good leader, guys love him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No college education. You have another sergeant, 4 years experience.
He's got 4 years experience.
Hold on. Got the job because he had a degree, right? Yeah. Came into law enforcement with a bachelor's degree, highly intelligent, functioning, isn't all that liked. But he's very intelligent, gets the job done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he has a degree. The administration goes, guy, Sergeant A brings a lot of experience to the table, but the direction we're kind of going
is geared
towards education, and this guy already has a degree. This guy's kind of out to pasture. This guy's young. We're going to go with this guy, and that guy gets promoted.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen that example, right?
Yeah.
At my last department, I've seen that example where you had people that had no business being supervisors.
Yeah.
No business being supervisors, being leaders of people in life and death situations, where they had a degree and with a minimal amount of experience were able to get promoted to leadership positions over people that had vastly superior experience, both in quantity and years, or rather in quality and years. So I've seen it happen, but do you think that there's an actual thing that exists where admins place a more of an emphasis on somebody with a degree versus somebody that doesn't have a degree? And let's say that on top of that, let's say the skills are basically the same, right? Just to simplify it.
But definitely, yeah. I think because that's where most police departments are gearing towards, is a better educated police force,
right?
Because they honestly feel that someone who's educated is less likely to make mistakes. Now you have some people,
but is that necessarily true?
No, not at all. It's not true at all. I mean,
I agree.
It's not true at all. I mean, just because you're educated, like we said earlier, does not make you smarter than someone who's not.
Right.
It means that you committed to something for 4 years and you saw it through.
See, I would rather have a supervisor that has a solid amount of experience.
I would too.
Versus somebody that has lesser experience.
Yeah, it's just like the military. I would have rather my platoon sergeant been our platoon leader than a lieutenant.
Right.
Because your lieutenant's fresh out of college and they were in ROTC. But that's not real life experience. That's not real Army experience.
Right.
And then they get there and they're like, I know what I'm doing. And you're like, you don't. I've been in the Army longer than you have. You don't know what you're doing. I've actually been in the Army longer than you were in college and in the Army. And you don't know what you're doing. But they outrank you. So, I mean, and it's honestly just because they have an education. And it's not always the best thing to go with, but when you have, that's what everyone is gearing towards because it's the new normal to have a bachelor's degree or to have an associate's degree. Like I tell the kids at the school that I work at, an associate's degree is the new high school diploma. A high school diploma is like a GED now.
Well, and you have a lot of programs that have popped up over the last 10 years or so where they have the dual credit.
Yep,
where
exactly. You're in high school and you get the dual credit. I wish I would have taken advantage of that.
You're basically earning a high school diploma and associate's degree as you get
at the same time.
And you're getting out into college. You're getting out into a university, and you got 2 years of university.
Exactly.
You're getting out into the workforce fast. It makes sense. It actually makes sense from an efficiency level.
And you're not building up as much student debt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because the dual credit classes do cost, but they're like $60 to $90. Something your parents can afford.
Right.
And it's not that bad. And most, you if they offer that at a school, if you're a high schooler and you're listening to this podcast, which you probably shouldn't be, because this is parental advisory. Take advantage of that stuff, man. Take advantage of education. If you're in the military and you haven't cracked open your GI Bill, I challenge you to go down to the VA office and see what that's all about. I mean, even if you just get a skill, like the VA paid for my police certificate.
Right.
They pay for certificates now, welding, truck driving. Use that thing, man. Don't just let it sit there. It has a shelf life. I think the shelf life of it now is like 20 years, but still, that'll be here before you know it.
Oh, here to tell you.
I'm here to tell you.
Here to tell you. That goes
back
by.
in my day.
Back in the day. Sorry, question. So, what for people that are kind of in the situation that you found yourself in, kind of making that leap to go to school, right? And haven't really completely made the decision yet. They're kind of looking at it. It's kind of very overwhelming, right?
Oh,
because it's an overwhelming.
No, it really is.
It's an overwhelming prospect, right? What advice would you give to that person, having now done it and been now in the process and almost done? What kind of advice would you give to that person on pulling the trigger on that and jumping into it and getting getting after it.
Go sign up for 2 classes. Go down to the financial aid place in the registrar and register for school. Sign up for 2 classes that are electives and just get in it. Put your feet in the water, and you're going to realize that college is a lot easier than you think it is. It is all about...
It really is. It was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Way easier than I thought it was going to be. It's almost easier than high school.
It's high school without all the social bullshit.
Yeah, and it's honestly just reading and writing papers. That's honestly all college is. It's, can you take in knowledge, and can you tell me what you've learned, and can you retain it long enough to take a test? And it's very simple. It's not very hard. I would say even if you just take 1 class, and if you are someone who doesn't have a whole lot of money and you're like, oh, I can't afford it, financial aid will pay for it. And there's people down at the school who will walk you through every step.
Yeah.
So don't be intimidated. They're there to help you. I mean, I was lucky I had someone to show me how to register for school and how to do my FAFSA. But there's places at the college that'll show you how to do all that.
Yeah,
don't be intimidated.
There's people who walk you through it.
Yeah, they'll walk you through the whole step, and you'll get college paid for, man. Unless you're super rich, then no, you're not going to get any FAFSA money. But
why are you going to college anyway?
Yeah,
why are you wasting your time?
Why are you wasting your time? Go get a hot air balloon and take pictures from
gold-plated hot air balloon. Go sink to the bottom of the ocean
in some lower Earth orbit.
Right.
Take pictures of that because you can't go to space.
Because it doesn't exist, right? Because you hit the top of the dome.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you don't?
We're here for a police podcast, sir.
Oh.
Nothing further.
No, hold on.
No.
No, we're going to go on rants about flat Earth and living under domes, and then as soon as the mic gets hot, I don't know what you're talking about. So,
we're going to go into the next segue because this is not the place for that.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Really? Coming from the guy that was like, I'm gonna work that into the podcast.
I did twice already.
Twice? But don't feel like an impact was left.
Well, there doesn't need to be impact. I just wanted somebody to open their third eye. That's all I wanted them to do.
Jesus Christ. So anyway, listen, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're kind of in that situation, if you have a question for Big Bo, right? On what to do, or if you need some advice on taking that next step,
or you want to do my homework,
or you want to do his homework, or
feel free.
Drive him to school, all that kind of stuff.
I'm good. I don't like people driving me anywhere.
You can give him a shout.
Excuse me.
info@streetwarriorradio.com and or the Street Warrior Radio contact page.
Instagram, Twitter.
Instagram. Send him a DM
Facebook,
on Instagram.
Slide in my DMs.
It's all Street Warrior Radio.
Goes down in the DMs.
If you have any challenging situations that you've faced as a working adult, going to school, being a full-time parent, the stresses that come with that, we'd love to hear from you. You can give us a shout at the areas that I just listed, streetwarriorradio.com/contact or info@streetwarriorradio.
JC at streetwarriorradio.com
or Big Bo at streetwarriorradio.com. BIGBO.
That's right, Bo. So, going to the next segment, since we're done with schools. What is the scariest thing you have seen or the weirdest call you've been to? Go ahead, JC.
So,
this has nothing to do with education
at all. Can this be like scariest call?
Yeah, it could be scariest call, scariest.
I can't think of like a singular thing, okay. like a there's not like a clown man with an axe running down the street or anything like that. I mean, people have seen that, but I have not.
I have not seen that. I have not partaked.
Is this like scariest thing you've ever seen, like in your life, or
I would say on the job, on the force.
Okay. I don't know. Now, if it's scariest call,
let's go scariest call. You can do either or.
Okay, scariest call. Active shooter, hands down.
Really?
Active shooter. Yeah.
Scariest.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's so many dynamics to it. There's so many things happening at one time. Now, in the situation that I was in, this was in 2012. I was working UC, which is undercover, and I was with my undercover partner, and then we had a uniformed shadow officer that anytime that we made contact with anybody, that officer was there to
be the cops.
Give a uniform presence.
Yeah.
Right. So we had just finished lunch, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with the rest of our life. We're trying to make a life shift and make a game plan.
God, that was,
it was deep.
Y'all were deep undercover.
Real undercover.
Y'all was real undercover.
We're trying to figure out what to do with the rest of our shift, and we're kind of feeling fat and lazy. And we were by a train station, and it's actually the same train station that the large Love and Life ladies that ran on the ice story from a couple episodes ago. So we're actually downstairs, and we're sitting there talking and trying to figure out a kind of a game plan. And you can hear a train come in, and then you hear it stop. You can always hear the ding of the doors, right? Very distinct sound. And then it was pop, 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 pop. And it was like about 8 shots. And I don't think it kind of, you hear gunshots, right? If you're going up around guns, you know what a gunshot sounds like. In law enforcement, if you work in a large urban area, you know what gunshots sound like. And you hear all the shots, and you start hearing all the screaming, and you realize, wait, that's right there. We're here right now. We happen to be that we're here. So we start. We had an unmarked vehicle, and we moved it up to in this bus bay, and there's like all these people running down the stairs from the upper level, which is where the train is, and we can obviously see somebody that was shot, right? And we're like, where is he? Where's the shooter? Where's the shooter? And of course, we're in regular clothes. I have a beard. I have kind of shaggy hair. I'm in a cap with a mechanic shirt on and shorts and tennis shoes. I think I had Chuck Taylors on, and I'm like,
Jesus.
We're not in uniform. We have one uniform cop with us, so we got our badges on necklaces under our shirts, and we had those out. And we're like, where is he? Where is he? We had our guns out, and they were like, he's upstairs. He's upstairs. So we fight our way through the crowd, get upstairs. When we get upstairs, like a freaking ghost town, which these train platforms are super narrow, and at each side of them there's stairwells. Well, when you come up to the top and you look back down the platform, because the stairwells are on like each end of the platform. Yeah. So when you get up there, you turn around if you're coming off the stairs, and it's like you're looking down the entire platform, regardless of whatever side you're on. But in between that, there's partitions, and there's an elevator, and so there's places you can't see, right? Yeah. So no vest, no any of that stuff.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we're working in an environment where it's not. I mean, you're going to give yourself away. So we start doing a systematic search of the platform, clearing corners, all that kind of stuff. Identified the crime scene by the shell casings, and you could see where the rounds had impacted the bricks, the brick floor. You could see where some of them had impacted the elevator doors. It was like right in between the elevators. Made it to the other end of the platform, and then started to work my way back. And by this time, the uniformed officer, right after it happened, actually I think I called out shots fired on the radio, gave the location, and then I think somebody said active shooter or something like that. But it was enough of a response to where an all call out basically went out to assisting other agencies to assist. So as I had cleared the train platform one way and I was working my way back, I hear somebody yell stop, and I knew it was another cop, right? But I also had the cognitive recognition that he did not know I was a cop, because all I've got's a badge on a necklace front. So I had, with both hands, right, I put I put my hands up, so I have my gun in my hand, but also have my badge in my other hand. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I'm a cop. And he's like, fuck, dude, I almost shot you. I turned around, it was an officer from another agency, and he had his AR trained like right on me. So we get back downstairs. We thought the shooter had maybe fled with the crowd. Maybe he'd run past us, right? Yeah. So there was only amazingly, you had this train full of people, everybody gets off, dude opens up fire into this crowd and only hits one person in the leg.
He's a good shot.
I mean, just the sheer
luck of it.
The luck of it was incredible. So we get back downstairs and EMS fire hadn't come in yet because the scene wasn't secure, right?
Of course.
Which that particular agency, I'm here to tell you right now, they don't care.
Yeah.
Right. But the situation as it was, I don't think they could get in. I think that's probably more fair. So this guy's sitting on the ground. He's obviously injured. He's bleeding from the leg. And we're trying to ask for descriptions. He very quietly says, "He's on the bus." And we're like, "What?" "He's on the bus." When all this was going down, a bus had pulled into the bus bay.
Yeah.
When everybody came downstairs, he had come down with them. In the confusion, nobody really recognized his face.
Yeah.
Got up on a bus and sat down. He was the only dude sitting on the bus.
Awesome.
So he's just sitting there, right? Like he had nowhere to go. But the guy that had been shot saw his face.
Yeah.
And was like, "He's on the bus." So it takes a second for that to register, right? You're just like,
what do you mean he's on the bus?
"Oh shit, he's on the bus." Oh. So we get up on the bus and we've got him at gunpoint, screaming at him, tell him to put his hands up. Well, he puts his hands up, right? But he won't get up. He won't stand up. So we're like, we know he has a gun, right?
Yeah. So
he slowly starts to lower his hands. And so he's getting verbal commands like, "Don't you lower those fucking hands. You're going to get shot," blah, blah, blah. And eventually he kind of drops him almost out of sight. But then at the last second, for some reason, he puts him back up. We make an approach on him, grab him, take him to the floor of the bus, get him in handcuffs, et cetera, et cetera. So what was interesting about this individual was he was a blood gang member.
Gang.
Right? And he had taken the gun, he had stuffed it up under the seat of the bus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
And then, but what was interesting about this guy is that the very day before, about a couple blocks over, there were two officers from another agency on a traffic stop. And while they're on that traffic stop, he had walked up to their vehicle in an apartment complex and opened up fire into their back window.
Dang.
They were able to escape getting shot. They took cover. He ran. Same gun. Same dude. So in that we got the shooter, right? We got the guy that tried to kill two police officers the day before.
Yeah.
And got the gun from that incident. So it ended up being a big, good deal. But I remember that moment, the moment of realizing that there's an active shooter. It's one thing you get a call and you go somewhere and you have time to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It's another thing when you're, and it's another thing when you're in a hostile situation where you have a person that's actively trying to kill you spontaneously. From your perspective, it's spontaneous because they may be planning it, but you don't know it's coming, right? Where you don't think about it, you just deal with the situation as it is.
Yeah.
But when it's in close enough proximity where there's a clear and present danger to the lives of not only yourself, your fellow officers, but the other people that are around, but there's also that little bit of distance, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So as you make your way to the area, right? You haven't had miles to drive there and get yourself in the mindset, get yourself in the game. Do. All right, it's hunter killer time. We're going to take this active shooter out. Blah blah blah. You don't have that. You have this little kind of weird little psychological lull. So I remember going up the stairs, walking up the stairs, and you're blind going up those stairs because it's just like an opening at the top, right? And you can't see what's behind you. When you come up those stairs, you got to tactically clear that stairs. The stairs as you're coming up. Yeah. So you're hoping you don't trip. There's all sorts of things going on in your mind. But I remember going up those stairs, thinking he was still up there waiting for us, and it kind of hit me then. It was like this is a super scary. I mean, it was still business. You still, I knew what I had to do. Yeah. Right. But I didn't But there was just that little lull right there where it was just like it kind of hit me. And then after it was over, it was like, wow. You know, it was just kind of like this. That's the scariest thing I've ever been in at that point, you know?
Yeah.
And I got some other hairy ones, but that one probably is, it's in my top 2 or 3 for sure.
I don't have one.
So, Big Bo.
I don't have one.
You don't have one.
I don't have one.
You don't have one single. Are you serious right now? Like, this is what we're doing?
Serious, I don't have one.
You wrote this question.
I know I did. I've been trying to think of one the
You were
whole
just hoping
time.
I had something?
I was praying to God you had something. I was like, he's a veteran law enforcement agent. He should have something.
Would you like me to tell you another one?
No, that's fine. That was a good one. That was really good. I was sitting here really like, oh shit. Where's the guy?
I don't have a good story.
Where's the guy? I was like, hey, I'm halfway through your story. I was like, God, I don't have anything. I haven't done anything scary.
You went to Iraq.
I saw an IED go off.
That's scary.
It wasn't that scary. It was super far up and it didn't hit anything.
All right, well, that was scary then.
It wasn't scary. I remember seeing it. I was like, oh shit. Was that an IED or what the fuck was that? Because you really don't know. You just hear boom and you see a flash of light.
Okay, weird. What weird?
Weird. Okay, the weirdest call type thing I ever was on was we were working. It was me and you. I believe we're on shift. And I get a call of a 911 open line. And they can hear the person talking in the background. They're kind of like whispering, "Need help, send help, blah, 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 blah." And we get over to that area, and then the dispatcher was like, "I can still hear them. They keep just saying, come on. I see the police. Tell them to keep coming. And then it was just, they hung up and disconnected the line. And I was like, where are they? I don't know. They said they could see you. I was like, well, I don't see them. And they called him back, and the guy was like, I didn't need police assistance. Thanks.
Oh, I remember that. Dude, we thought we were about to get ambushed. Yes. Like, that was some weird. Yes. That was a weird call.
I see the police. Tell them keep coming. And they
remember
disconnected.
That, yeah.
And then they were like, she called him back. And he was like, I don't need the police. Tell them thank you.
But it was I remember the dispatcher describing it, that the way he said it on the phone, it creeped her out.
Yes.
But he kept saying, like, I can see them.
Tell them keep coming.
Keep coming.
Keep coming. And I was just like,
we're walking into our deaths right now.
That was probably the weirdest one I've ever been on.
I completely forgot about that.
Yep.
That was weird, man. It was funny.
It was just creeped me out. It had my spidey senses tingling that night.
Yeah, both of us. And I think at one point we were just like, you know, it's time to fucking go. Yeah. It's time to go. It's time to get out of here. We're not doing this anymore.
Yep.
We're not playing this man's games anymore.
Yeah. Because we were driving around for a minute because he was like, I don't see him.
Well, we even got on foot.
Yeah. And he's like, tell him keep coming. And I was just like, where is he?
Go and get my rifle and stuff.
He disconnected. What do you mean he disconnected?
Here it comes.
That's probably the weirdest one. That's probably all I got.
All right, so let's touch on some current events. All right, so you have an interesting one here.
I do have an interesting one. All right, the city of Cleveland is investigating the response procedure after police were forced to transport a man who was shot 16 times this past Friday after a city ambulance refused to assist. Cleveland police said the ambulance declined to help because the shooting occurred in South Euclid, which is not in the Cleveland jurisdiction. According to the body cam video, the officer said they got EMS coming, but they're not coming from South Euclid. Can we see if one of our guys can come over here a little faster, police said in a video. The police officers were assisting the man in a neighboring city. Despite the officers crossing over into the neighboring city to help the man, police said, our EMS won't come. Their EMS is coming from South Euclid. That's why I asked if they would come over here. They won't come because it's in your city. Even though it's our victim, they won't come, police said. So you got a guy.
Who wrote this article?
I don't know. ABC 13? I think that's who it was.
Christ, somebody needs to go back to school.
So you got a guy who got shot in South Euclid, and Cleveland EMS won't pick him up because it's not in the city of Cleveland, even though they're closer to where he's at. That's pretty crappy.
That's a frustrating situation.
I mean, and then the officers are.
How do you?
They're reviewing these officers' video and stuff because they transported the guy because he was shot 16 times.
So the cops ended up transporting.
Yeah, the cops ended up transporting him.
How do you sit there as a
EMS
as a EMS paramedic, whatever, first responder of any kind, and go?
That's not ours.
No. I'm talking about like in an emergency situation. I'm talking about like, fender bender on the other side of the magic line. I'm talking about like somebody's in dire need of help.
Yeah,
and you're just gonna go, well, not my problem, not my jurisdiction. Fuck him. I mean,
where'd he get shot at? South Euclid. Well, we're Cleveland.
Yeah, we only deal with 18 gunshots or less, or more. We don't do 16.
16's child's play.
Amateurs.
No, I mean, that's messed up. I mean, you got someone who's shot, you should go out there and help them. I mean, it doesn't matter where. If you're the closest person, they're going. I imagine they'd be going to the same ER.
Most likely. Probably some regional hospital in Cleveland that they all go to.
Yeah. What's the point? Why can't you take him? Because he's been shot? You don't want to deal with him possibly dying in your bus?
Because you won't inherit the liability.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's talking about human life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's pretty jacked up. So I read that and I thought that was pretty.
Was there any follow up to that? Any like investigation on the EMS part?
There wasn't. I didn't read any of that. That's all the info I got. That was the meat and potatoes of the article.
ABC 13 needs to work on their stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I had one. This is a little bit off the beaten track, right? So this one has to do with. I find this very interesting. I'm absolutely fascinated by this. All right, the prospect of artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
In the world.
In the world's flat.
And maybe they'll answer that for us, right?
Well, I already know the answer. It's round.
So there's two camps on the artificial intelligence, right?
Yes.
There's those that say it's beneficial. There's those that say it's the end of the world, right?
Yes.
Believe it or not, you kind of have people like Warren Buffett, old man, who's on the it's good side.
Well, he's trying to figure out a way to stay alive longer so he can have more money than God.
But then you have people like, Elon Musk and
Bill Gates,
who are just like Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking's another one.
There's a bad idea.
Yeah, brilliant astrophysicist. But they're all like, AI is going to be the destruction of man.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you don't keep it under control.
Well, I mean, he has a computer that talks for him that probably says stuff he doesn't want to say. But he can't tell anybody because he's confined to that damn wheelchair.
Well, what I find interesting is that, he...
Can you imagine if like you want to tell someone you love them and then like your computer gets a mind of its own and it's like, fuck you, I didn't mean to say that.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Go fuck yourself.
LOL.
Could you imagine what he has to live through? He's probably not even that smart. That computer's that smart.
I can go on a whole.
I bet there's a YouTube video that Stephen Hawking really isn't even
saying that. What are you gonna do about it? Someone has to walk over here, turn me off.
Turn me off, Stephen. Turn me off.
Can you? I mean, you could go just like we hit Helen Keller. Now we're hitting Stephen Hawking. Whoo!
We're going to hell.
Oh God!
But could you imagine? That's what Stephen's fear is for AI, is that it's going to take over humanity.
But there's some legitimacy to that, right?
There is some legitimacy.
So to that fear anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Because at what point does artificial intelligence outperform the master, right? Obviously, artificial intelligence already can process things at a much higher rate than a human.
Yeah.
Computers can. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to make our lives and jobs easier.
Yeah, they drive cars.
Not very well, but they can, right? So what's interesting about this is talking about like, so let's say AI advances to the point where you're replacing people now in the workforce with computers, robots, androids, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with those people? So you have
an unemployed workforce.
So then you're talking about the government at some point would have to step in and subsidize humans to live.
Yeah, because there's no jobs.
So you're talking, I mean, and then you're naturally advancing towards a, this kind of, almost like this government handout just to survive, Well,
that's what it would get to. There would be no jobs because you have the because look, businesses are out to make a profit, but if they don't have a workforce, it's kind of, they go hand in hand. You can hire just like the new Amazon stores that are coming out,
right?
Where you get to walk in, you pick up what you want, you walk out, and that's it. There's 2 people that are employed there. There's someone for the IT part, and there's someone if you have a question on where something's at.
If the IT part's even, I mean, we're talking about, let's say we get to the point where you won't even need a person for IT because they'll do it themselves.
Well, I think you're always going to need an IT person. I think you always need that one. But that's
maybe at the hub.
Yeah, that's one person. You know what I mean?
But you have people on the flip side of this conversation that say, well, AI and, technology advancing productivity more than so humans. You're going to get more output. When you get more output, you get more products made. When you get more products made, you get more products in the market. When you get more products in the market, you get more people buying them.
But who's going to buy them with no money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where the trade-off is, right?
Yep.
And then, but there's some people that believe that if AI, if robots, if whatever can take over all the work, then that opens the possibility of human expansion, the mind,
discovering the
dome, and the flat Earth, and all that other crap. So you're talking about like their argument is that the philosophical side of life all of a sudden has a more of an interest, more of an outlet because you're taking the day-to-day grind out of it, and you're freeing humans up
to do more things like think about interstellar travel, or the next advancement of man and the next evolution of us.
But who's paying the bills? How are you putting food on? I mean, so there's a dynamic there, right? Yeah. So you're having to get that from somewhere.
There's a trade-off,
right? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I think it's bad. To me, it's bad.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have machines doing everything. I definitely understand having them do some things.
Well, listen, we can sit here and philosophically think about the ponderings and complexities of the life, right?
Yeah. Who's paying the electric?
But here's the thing. While on an intellectual level, that does have some sort of accomplishment, right? But on a personal level, if you can't work, if you can't build, if you can't create, and then take that creation and put it into something tangible, and then have that reward come back to you, what's the point?
Taking the will to live.
I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Most people, without that stimulation over an extended period of time, they're not going to sit there and think about how to create better art or how to.
And this can go into like political and all that stuff.
No, I mean, I'm trying to keep politics out of it.
I'm saying like that's
talking
where
about
it can
just
go,
on a human level.
That's when you're going to go into a society of just here's a stipend. Here's your electricity paid for. The robots do everything for us, and then it's just.
Do you ever see what's the robot movie? The animated robot movie, WALL-E.
Oh yeah, WALL-E.
Where they're all big and fat, and everything's automated. Everything does everything for them. They don't do anything for themselves, and they become this fat. You could easily see it coming that way. Or it's going to be Robot Wars, and we're going to be getting after it.
Terminator 2.
Bring it. Let's do it. Let's do that. I'm down. I like that one better.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
We're just getting straight up firefights with robot skeletons every day.
Every day.
The things of nightmares every single day.
I'm down. Arnold ain't got nothing on me.
Psh. Arnold from Arnold. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So we got a question.
So, well, all right. Let's do some Q&A. All right, real quick. Do some Q&A.
Okay.
If you go to any sporting event in history, what would it be and why?
In history.
I'd
go to Ali Frazier 1.
Ali Frazier 1?
Yep.
Why?
Because I want to see that fight. It's one of the best fights in history. I'd want to see it live.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you go like there to that
I'd want to
place.
see it live. I'd want to see Ali get knocked down. I love Ali. I think he's one of the greatest fighters of all time, but it'd just be amazing to see that live, be in that atmosphere, and how everybody was feeling like, because even though he hadn't fought in 4 years, people still felt he was the real champ and Joe Frazier wasn't. So it would just be amazing to see that and be like, oh my God, Ali just got knocked on his ass and got up, beat the 10 count. I mean, that's amazing. That's probably what I'd go see. Let me guess, you'd go see Game 6, the Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat.
Well, it's one of my ties. That's one of my ties. So, huge Dallas Mavericks fan, right? I would love to see them. Obviously, I would love to see them win.
Yeah.
The only title they have, I would love to see that in person, right?
Yeah.
If you're a diehard fan of something, how would you not want to?
Yeah.
But it's tied with Game 6, NBA Finals, Chicago Bulls, Utah Jazz.
Oh, man.
Michael Jordan's last game as a Chicago Bull.
The push, the shove.
Unbelievable performance. If I could see that, I saw Michael Jordan play. I saw him. I saw the Bulls play the San Antonio Spurs back when the Spurs played in their old. Remember, you're talking.
Yeah.
Sean Elliott was a baby at that point. I mean, David Robinson was the king of that of the Spurs, but the Bulls came in town, and this was I think it was during their first championship run. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was during their first championship run. So I think that was the year they went and played the Lakers, the first time they went.
Okay.
So you had Jordan, Pippen, Horace Grant,
God, that's a great team.
All these dudes. They actually ended up losing to the Spurs 98-96. Remember that? Yeah, great game though. I had Scottie Pippen's rookie card that he signed. That I got signed.
What'd you do with that card?
It's gone. I don't know whatever happened to it. I lost it at some point.
Loser.
And then I also had a picture of Michael Jordan as he was walking down the tunnel. In those classic Chicago Bulls red uniforms.
Do you still have that picture?
No, I don't know.
What's wrong with your life? Who loses that stuff?
Dude, I mean,
I've got
I honestly think they were thrown away by somebody. But that's my theory. I don't have any proof. Anyway. So I don't quite understand this question the way it's worded. Hidden gems in the world?
Yeah, like what are some places to eat? We don't have to do this question because I don't really want to do this question. I don't really have anything. I thought maybe you would.
We're doing that a lot. That's a theme tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So
you can just cut that part out. They don't have to hear this part.
Oh, they're hearing this part. I'm not cutting this part out.
You're a big baby.
You want to cut this part out, but I'm going to show the people the truth. Not the flat earth truth, the real truth.
I know it's a globe.
Thank you. In somebody's house. Is that what you're going to say?
Globe of lies.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so...
Please don't put this in the episode.
It's going in the episode.
Don't throw this in the episode.
It's going in the episode.
This is horrible.
This is gold.
This is not. This is
gold.
This is for the blooper reel.
No, this is gold.
Whatever.
Right here. It's going in the episode.
I am on Benadryl and I have a fever. I'm delirious.
Are you on Benadryl and feverish and delirious every single day of your life? Because these are the conversations that happen normally.
Next question.
All right.
Comes from
Brendan asks through the info@streetwarriorradio.com email. Yep. What is the difference? And he's specifically asking Texas.
Okay.
Right? Because it's pretty much the same everywhere, but we're going to answer for Texas. Okay. Right? So, difference between city police, sheriff's deputies, and constables. It's a two-part question in terms of their duties and functions. Okay. And then the second part of that question is... same thing applies for state troopers, highway patrol, and Texas Rangers. So
Texas Rangers just investigate crimes.
Well, let's get that one out of the way first, right? Because it's the easiest one.
It's the easiest one.
Well, it's the quickest one to answer. Okay, I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding that state troopers, the highway patrol, and Texas Rangers are all three different things.
They're the same.
Not. It's all Texas Department of Public Safety.
Yep.
State troopers are the highway patrol. The highway patrol is employed by state troopers.
Yep.
Highway Patrol is a division of the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Yep.
And Texas Rangers are the investigative arm and elite. They really are in a lot of ways elite.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They have a lot of tools at their dispense. They're like the FBI locally for Texas.
Now they are a special thing, and it takes it takes effort to get into.
I believe it's like you have to be a state trooper for 10 years before you can even apply, and it's like one of those you've got to be asked.
It's like getting a new job.
Yeah,
but they are part of the Texas Department of Public Safety. And they are an investigator. They're basically like a special operations investigational unit. What they are.
They investigate police officer shootings in Texas,
and they do a lot of stuff. They do
high profile crimes that happen, stuff like that, bank robberies. And
they do
serial bank robbers, serial killers. They do murders.
They got dudes that do the TAC side on like the border operations, Operation Border Star, and all that. Yep. So that's that. They're all the same.
Yeah.
All I'm sure within that community, a Texas Ranger hearing me say that he's the same thing as a Buck State Trooper would probably punch me in the throat.
One riot, one Ranger.
Yeah. So, difference between police, sheriff's deputies, and constables. Big Bo.
The difference between police are in a city. So you have your city of Alpha, and you have the Alpha Police Department, and they are just in that city. They can stop somebody in City Bravo, but that's not their jurisdiction, and if something happens in City Bravo, the Alpha Police Department won't go over there. But then you have your sheriff's deputies who are part of the county. So whatever county you live in, they have their own police force, and they can go to any city in that county that they want to. So if your county has 15 cities in it, the sheriff's department can go to any one of those cities, your sheriff also runs the county jail.
But they typically
responsible for that.
But they typically actively patrol
the places,
unincorporated areas.
Typically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
places that have small police
towns
forces
that contract with the sheriff's office.
that contract with, and your constable is more of a county entity that deal with civil process.
Correct.
Your subpoenas, your writs, your evictions, that's what they do.
What's interesting, right, is that constables and sheriffs are the only law enforcement mentioned in the Texas Constitution.
Are they?
Yes.
So I wouldn't know because
municipal police, special purpose police, railroad police, all that kind of stuff, transit police, everything, they're created by the Texas legislature, right?
Yeah.
Texas legislature also defines the powers of the individual deals. But the constables and the sheriffs are the only ones that are actually mentioned specifically in the Constitution. They were the original law enforcement in Texas.
Yes.
And so constables, just like sheriffs, are elected by their constituents, divided into precincts as opposed to the whole county for the sheriff.
Yeah.
And constables' offices are very interesting to me because constables' offices typically in most counties in the state of Texas operate in a civil process format.
Yes.
Divorces, evictions, notifications you're being sued, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They also do civil forfeiture, so seizing of property.
They can also do warrants.
But
warrant
there
roundup.
is also a part of them that does, several of them do like felony warrants, municipal warrants. On the criminal side.
Yeah.
And also some of them have traffic units, et cetera, and they generate.
Some even have gang units. We got a couple of homies over there in the constable side.
So, but that's how it operates. They are a fully functioning law enforcement agency.
Yeah. They have the same powers that a deputy has.
Yeah, or a municipal police officer. They just happen to focus and specialize on the civil process. They, however, can file criminal complaints. They can make arrests. They can do all that kind of stuff. So the dynamic, the difference is like in a Harris County where Houston is.
Yeah.
Where the constables' offices out there are full functioning police departments. They have patrol. They have traffic. They have SWAT, gangs.
Really, I did not
narcotics,
know that.
Undercover, CID.
I want to go
they
to
are
the constable's
fully
office out there.
Each precinct is a fully function. They do everything.
That's pretty
everything.
Cool. But Houston area is so big, though.
Which is a lot of the reason.
Yeah.
So and your sheriffs, of course, are elected by the citizens of the county, right? They are responsible, like you said, for the county jail and the overall law enforcement presence in the county. And direction kind of in the county. Your municipal police departments, they are stood up and commissioned by the city that they work for, right? They're sworn into that city. The police chief is hired. They're not elected. And they are the administrator of the department.
But the police chief is the police chiefs would be like more like it's weird. They're hired by the Electoral College, I guess you would say, because
they're hired by the city council,
and the city councils represents the citizens and blah 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 blah.
Right. But they're not elected. They're appointed.
Yeah, they're appointed.
So, and then you have all the officers that work under that. The main focus really is not that much different between the three entities, right? Yes. It's providing a law enforcement service. It's just in some of those areas, the law enforcement service is just a little bit different. So,
I hope that answered your question, bud.
All right, so
how to find us?
Yeah, Big Bo, if you'd tell us.
You can find us on social media on Instagram, Street Warrior Radio. At Instagram, on Twitter,
Street Warrior Radio spelled STRT, the word warrior, and then radio spelled RDIO.
And then Facebook
is Street Warrior Radio.
Street Warrior. Let us know if Facebook isn't working. I heard it had some glitches.
Well,
Did you mean to put this?
We're streamlining some of our social media process. So.
Yes. Did you mean to put interwebs on here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the interwebs, you can find the interwebs and diabetes. You can find us on the internet.
That meme cracked me up.
Did it?
Diabetes.
Try to sell me a diabetes machine.
You remember when I did that on the call?
Yes. Remember we used to do it at the jail when we'd book people in?
It was
diabetes.
You know in Super Troopers that they have the meow?
Yeah.
So the old like Wilford Brimley commercials where he talks about diabetes.
I was diagnosed with the diabetes.
So one of the questions you have to ask, like if you have any medical problems, and then we just list off some random like BS medical problems.
They're not BS, they're legit.
And then we'd like insert diabetes in
you
there.
got the diabetes. And no one ever caught on to that. We eventually stopped because we realized it was childish. So you can find us on the internet at streetwarriorradio.com, YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, and TuneIn. We're on all those. You can find us streetwarriorradio.com. Hit us up at info@streetwarriorradio.com for your questions, comments, war stories, and all that. How to support us, like, follow, share, review us on social media, podcasts and platforms, Amazon click-through, and coming soon is a Street Warrior Radio store.
Yeah, so talking about that real quick. So the site is established, but there's no products on there right now. It's just kind of a empty shell. I mean, there's a thing there. If you look at it, there's a link actually on the main website. It's called Warrior Store. But if you actually go to the website, there's no products on there or anything yet. But you can go ahead and sign up for an account if you want to. There's a login register at the top right-hand corner, so go ahead and do that if you're so inclined. And with that, thank you to all the men and women in uniform out there, military, law enforcement, fire service, paramedics. Thank you for what you do, the incredible sacrifices that you make. And to all the families of our first responders and military, thank you for the sacrifices that you make. It's amazing, and it is noted. To all the rest of the people out there that make the world go around, thank you. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our supporters. We really appreciate you. And with that, Street Warrior Radio is out of service.